Kemi and Dele had a wedding people talked about for months. They were the perfect couple in Ibadan. Everyone admired them. When Kemi gave birth to their son, Dapo, Dele's joy knew no bounds. He was a proud father, always showing off his baby boy to everyone in the neighborhood. They shared everything: laughter, joy, and dreams of raising a big, happy family. "You are my world," Kemi, Dele would say, kissing her forehead. "And now we have Dapo, our family is complete." Kemi smiled every time he said that. She believed their love would last forever. A year after Dapo's birth, Kemi got pregnant again. This time, they were blessed with a baby girl, Temi. Dele was overjoyed. He would call her his little princess and tell his friends how lucky he was to have both a boy and a girl. Their house was filled with baby laughter and the sounds of love. "Now we have a son and a daughter. What more could we ask for?" Dele said, hugging Kemi tightly after they returned from the hospital with Temi. But things began to change slowly after the birth of Temi. Kemi put on a lot of weight. She was tired all the time, juggling two young children, and had no energy left for herself. Her once glowing skin was now covered in severe hormonal acne, and no matter what she did, nothing seemed to work. Kemi noticed Dele staring at her differently. He no longer looked at her with the same admiration. He tried to help her at first, buying her gym memberships and some skincare products. "You should try to lose some weight, Kemi. Maybe it will help you feel better," Dele said one evening, offering her a bowl of salad. "I am trying, Dele, but it's hard with the kids." Months passed and nothing seemed to work. Kemi's weight remained, and her skin was still troubled. Dele's patience wore thin. A year went by, and Dele became distant. He no longer held Kemi's hand or kissed her goodnight. When Kemi reached out for him at night, he would pull away. "Kemi, I am tired," he would say coldly. They barely spoke more than a few words to each other. Kemi noticed that Dele started coming home later than usual. He no longer complimented her, and sometimes she caught him staring at her with disgust. One evening, while Kemi was preparing dinner, Dele stormed into the kitchen, his face twisted with anger. "Look at you," he yelled. "You've let yourself go completely. You look like a Shrek." Kemi's heart shattered into pieces at his words. Tears filled her eyes, but she tried to hold them back for the sake of her children. She couldn't understand why Dele had become so cruel. "I'm doing my best, Dele," Kemi whispered, her voice shaky. "Your best isn't good enough for me," he said, slamming the door as he left the kitchen. It wasn't long before Kemi found out that Dele was seeing someone else. A younger, slimmer woman who he would shamelessly flaunt in front of his friends. Dele stopped hiding it when he was with his new lover. "If you don't change, I will bring her into this house," Dele threatened one evening. "She will replace you." Kemi was devastated, but she had her children to think about. She focused all her energy on Dapo and Temi, pouring her love into them, but inside she was breaking. The constant emotional abuse from Dele left Kemi deeply depressed. She felt worthless, unloved, and isolated. One night, after another argument with Dele, she sat alone in their bedroom, staring at the pills in her hand. The pain was too much to bear. She felt like her children deserved a better mother, and Dele deserved a more beautiful wife. Just as she was about to take the pills, her phone rang. It was an old friend, Bola, who she hadn't spoken to in years. "Kemi, what's up?" Bola's voice echoed through the phone. Kemi burst into tears, telling Bola everything she had been holding inside. Bola listened patiently and then insisted on coming to see her. Bola arrived the next day and was shocked to see how much Kemi had changed physically and emotionally. She hugged her friend tightly. "Kemi, you are beautiful. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. We'll get through this together, Bola assured her. With Bola's support, Kemi began a transformation journey. Bola introduced her to the best dermatologist in town and enrolled her in a gym with a personal trainer. For the first time in a long while, Kemi felt hope. Kemi started working on herself, both physically and mentally. Her skin slowly began to improve and she started losing small weight. She found new strength in herself, but things at home were still the same. Dele barely spoke to her, and when he saw her heading to the gym, he mocked her. Going to the gym again, Shrek. You think you can change anything now? Kemi ignored him. She was no longer doing it for Dele, but for herself and her children. Just as Dele was planning to divorce his wife, he received some shocking news. His young lover betrayed him. She started dating someone else, a richer and more powerful man, and left Dele without warning. Dele was furious and heartbroken. Meanwhile, Kemi's transformation was almost complete. She had become more confident and was approached by a beauty brand that wanted her to be the face of their new skincare line. The beauty brand's campaign featuring Kemi became an instant success. People were amazed at her transformation and she became a local sensation. Dele, now abandoned by his lover, was left in disbelief as he watched his once Shrek wife rise to prominence. Is that Kemi? Dele's friend would ask in awe. Despite Kemi's newfound success, life at home remained icy. Dele tried to act like he was unbothered, but inside, he regretted how he had treated her. He wanted to reach out to Kemi, but his pride wouldn't let him. Instead, he watched her from afar, still mocking her out of bitterness. Look at you now, thinking you're something special because of some skincare brand, he would say, but Kemi paid him no mind. As Kemi's fame grew, she was offered more deals and opportunities. She was invited to speak at women's empowerment events, and her story inspired many women who had been in similar situations. One morning, Kemi received divorce papers from Dele. She stared at the document for a long time, knowing this was the moment she had been waiting for. Dele was trying to end things on his terms, but Kemi had other plans. That evening, Kemi sat across from Dele at the dining table, the divorce papers in front of her. You want a divorce? She asked calmly. Dele folded his arms. Yes, it's for the best. Kemi looked at him for a long time before replying. No, Dele, I am not going to give you what you want. Dele was shocked by her response. He had never expected her to stand up to him. Kemi stood tall, her eyes piercing through Dele's as she spoke with calm determination. You are free to do what you want, Dele. You see this marriage? I am not leaving it. For the sake of these children, they are very young. But don't get it twisted though. We won't be husband and wife in the real sense anymore. We'll just live together for the kids. But our marriage, it's over. Dele was stunned. He had not expected Kemi to be so sure of herself, so clear. After a while, he nodded. Fine, he said, if that is what you want. But deep down, Dele wasn't as calm as he appeared. He thought Kemi would change her mind with time. He thought she would come running back. Months passed, and Kemi was true to her word. She focused on her children and her career. Their marriage became one of convenience. They lived under the same roof, but they were like strangers in their own home. Dele, now humbled, stopped mocking her and tried to act indifferent. But things began to change when a new man entered Kemi's life. His name was Toby. He was kind, charming, and very attentive. They had met at a work event and he immediately noticed how strong and beautiful Kemi was. You deserve the world, Kemi, Toby would often tell her, sending her thoughtful gifts and sweet messages that made her smile in ways she hadn't in years. Kemi wasn't looking for love, but Toby's attention made her feel alive again. He showered her with the kind of care and affection that Dele hadn't given her in a long time. One evening, Kemi returned home with an expensive necklace around her neck. A gift from Toby. Dele's eyes narrowed as he stared at the sparkling jewelry. "Where did you get that?" he asked sharply. "What's your business?" Kemi replied calmly, walking past him. The truth was, Dele couldn't stand the idea of another man giving Kemi attention. Even though he had treated her terribly, the thought of someone else taking his place filled him with rage. Over the next few weeks, Kemi continued to receive gifts from Toby. Perfumes, flowers, dresses. Toby would send her heartfelt messages, praising her strength and beauty. Dele, who had agreed to the new terms of their marriage, found it increasingly difficult to contain his jealousy. He started watching Kemi closely. His eyes filled with suspicion every time she left the house. One evening, when Kemi returned home from a dinner with Toby, Dele couldn't hold it in any longer. "Are you seeing someone?" he asked, his voice trembling with barely concealed anger. Kemi looked him straight in the eyes. "And what if I am? Kilo Shele, what does it matter to you? You made your choice now. And remember, I am a free woman, same as you are free. So please, spare me all the questions." Dele could hardly contain his jealousy. The idea of Kemi being with someone tormented him day and night. He saw her receiving calls and noticed the gifts piling up. And the more attention she received from Toby, the angrier Dele became. He started lashing out again, though this time it was driven by his own insecurity rather than disgust. He would make snide comments. "Who's paying for all these fancy gifts? Your new boyfriend?" said one evening. Kemi didn't react. She simply smiled and walked away, her silence only fueling Dele's frustration. The tension between them reached a boiling point when Dele found out that Toby had invited Kemi to a weekend getaway. Kemi hadn't agreed to go yet, but the idea of her even considering it drove Dele mad. That night, as Kemi packed her things for a business trip, Dele stormed into the room. "So this is it? You're just going to walk out with him?" Dele asked. Kemi paused and looked at him. "Dele, I don't understand you. I am just going on a trip for work. But I thought we agreed to live our lives separately, didn't we? You don't see me asking you plenty questions about your goings and coming in." "No." "That was before," Dele shouted, his anger boiling over. "Before I realized what a mistake I made." Kemi raised an eyebrow. "A mistake? You've been treating me like I don't exist for over a year. And now you realize your mistake because another man is showing me attention? That is your problem, Shao." "Dele, it is not mine." Dele's jealousy grew into a deep bitterness. Every time he saw Kemi smiling at her phone, he assumed it was Toby. He would accuse her of spending time with him, even when she was just with her children. "You're neglecting our family for that man," he said one evening. "No, Dele," Kemi replied. "You neglected this family when you brought your stupid girlfriend into our marriage. I am just living my life now. I don't care." The truth hit Dele like a punch to the gut. He realized how much he had pushed Kemi away, and now he was paying the price. Dele finally began to realize what he had lost. Kemi was no longer the broken woman he had mocked and neglected. She was stronger, more beautiful and confident. And another man was treating her the way he should have. For the first time, Dele felt regret, not just for losing Kemi, but for how he had treated her all those years. He knew he couldn't undo the past, but the thought of her truly leaving him for someone else was unbearable. Kemi sat quietly in the living room one evening. Dele approached her, his pride finally broken. "Kemi, I know I've hurt you. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I can't stand the thought of losing you completely. I am sorry for everything." His voice trembled as he spoke. "Kemi, I know I've been a terrible husband. I know I said things I shouldn't have, but please, I am begging you. I was wrong. I didn't realize what I had." Kemi turned to face him. "Dele, do you remember the things you said to me? Do you remember the hurtful words? You called me Shrek. You mocked my body after I gave you 2 beautiful children. What was my offense really? That I didn't look the way you wanted after carrying your babies?" Dele's head dropped in shame. He couldn't bring himself to meet her eyes. "You made me feel worthless," she continued. "It wasn't my fault, Dele. I struggled with my body, with my skin, and instead of being the husband who stands by his wife in her toughest moments, you chose to belittle me. You brought that stupid girl into our marriage. You threatened to replace me like I was nothing." Dele flinched at her words. He knew everything she said was true. The guilt and regret weighed heavily on him now. "Kemi, I am sorry. I was selfish. I was blind." Kemi shook her head. "And now, after seeing me transform, you think you can come back and beg for my forgiveness? What if I hadn't improved myself? What if I was still that woman you called Shrek? Would you be here asking for another chance?" Dele's eyes welled up with tears. "Kemi, I don't know," he admitted. "I was so wrong. I know I don't deserve it. Please, give me another chance to make things right." Kemi stared at Dele, her heart heavy. The man in front of her, the father of her children, was broken. She could see his regret, but she wasn't sure it was enough. The hurt he had caused went too deep. "I was alone," Dele, Kemi said softly. "You were not there for me when I needed you the most. Do you know what that feels like? To feel unloved and unwanted by the one person who promised to be there forever." "I do, Kemi. I see it now, and I am so, so sorry." But Kemi shook her head. "Sorry isn't enough. You made me question my worth. You destroyed the trust between us. I don't know if that can ever be repaired." Dele knelt before her. "Please, Kemi, I'll do anything. Just don't leave me. I'll change, I swear." Kemi sighed deeply, her emotions swirling. For her, she remembered the man she fell in love with, the man who was once kind, loving, and supportive, but that man had long disappeared, replaced by the cruel, selfish version in front of her now. "I don't know if I can ever forgive you, Dele, but I am staying because of the children. They need both of us. But you and I, we're Dele done." Looked devastated. "Kemi, please." Kemi raised her hand to stop him. "No, Dele, I've made my decision. You don't get to hurt me and then expect me to forget everything because I have changed. The damage has been done. You need to live with the consequences." Tears streamed down Dele's face as he realized he had truly lost her. The woman he once took for granted had found her strength, and she no longer needed him. Kemi stood up. "From now on, I'm living for myself and my children. You can stay in this house, but we'll never be what we once were. You don't deserve my love."